Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Again, my name is Dr. Maria Wright, and I am a professor of education at Bakersfield College. I have been at BC for roughly 12 years in a number of roles. I've also had the privilege of working at CSUB for a couple of those years. I have a background in education, both my graduate degrees, and I have had the privilege of starting this program some years ago. We're in cohort 4 now. This is my brainchild, and I have loved working in collaboration with our partner institutions, including CSUB, and the growth and enhancement of the program. I'm very thrilled, number one, that you have joined this meeting today to learn more about the program. I will be telling you more about it as we go along, about the logistics of applying for the program and what the role of someone who is in the program would look like. If we get into the understanding the why of the program, so some years ago, I worked closely with, at the time, president of the college. She is now, Dr. Christian is the chancellor for the community college system, which oversees all 115 community colleges. But when we started the seed for this program and exploring the potential of the program, some years ago, we realized that we have our student demographic does not match our faculty demographic. So if you look at this chart, this is info for the fall of 2021, our racial and ethnic makeup of our students compared to our faculty. And it includes our student count, our part-time faculty, our full-time faculty, and then the total employee count. So as you can see here, we are similar to CSCB and other higher ed institutions in our region. We are a Hispanic servant institution, meaning that most of our students identify as Hispanic, yet are the largest racial group represented in our faculty, both part-time, full-time, is white non-Hispanic. So we realized that there was definitely a gap in the pipeline for our students who are going through their graduate programs, and then the people that we are recruiting to fill our faculty positions. What we decided to do was to implement this program to try and close that bridge or create a pipeline that streamlines our folks that are interested in teaching at a community college and giving them the toolkit or helping them develop a toolkit that would make them successful in not only onboarding, but being successful faculty in a community college, whether that's with us or another college, even if it's a teaching-based institution like CSUB. So that's where that started. And so we applied for a seed grant in 2019, and we were able to get some funds through the National Science Foundation to start this program for STEM disciplines specifically. So we started this program and partnered with CSUB and Merced, UC Merced, and we got some folks who were really powerful and who were getting their graduate degrees in STEM. And later, we were able to partner in 2022 with the Kern Regional K16 Regional Collaborative, and we were able to expand beyond STEM disciplines. So that's how we are able to now recruit people who are outside of the STEM disciplines. And we specifically target Black, Indigenous, people of color, so our BIPOC population with limited or no teaching experience. But we effectively want to broaden participation. So anyone who is interested in enhancing diversity or serving a diverse group of students is welcome to apply for the program. So you don't have to identify as a BIPOC member, but you definitely have to be invested in the success of a diverse student body. And we go through that in our program. So I'll get to that when I talk about our program model. But the goal overall was to cultivate and enhance a faculty pipeline for all of you who apply to be part of the program to be able to enter into these teaching positions. So for those of you that are teaching now or have tried to apply for a teaching position specifically in higher education institutes, you will find that a lot of them require you to have some teaching experience. But how do you get that teaching experience if you need teaching experience to enter into a teaching position, right? And so that's where we are trying to address some of those institutional barriers that we've created. And so we allow you in the program to shadow someone, but also with the goal of you having your own class. And I'm jumping ahead here, but that is where we're trying to address some of those concerns that we've seen with the people that are applying for those positions. So the overall goal is, again, focusing on preparing fellows from underrepresented minority groups and gaining the pedagogical skills that you need to be successful in the classroom. By doing so, we hope to increase the diversity of the California Community College faculty, because if we prepare people who, number one, identify as a racial minority group, but number two, also are invested in the success of our students. We know that if our students, from vast literature, if our students are able to develop a sense of belonging with the institution, they're able to be successful. So that's the last bullet there. We can increase the retention, progression, and success of our URM students. So that is ultimately the goal, in which you can see they go hand in hand. So traditionally, this program is a one-year program that starts in the fall and continues into the spring. However, in order to continue to grow our partnership with CSUB, we're allowing a small group of people to apply in the spring semester and go from spring to fall. On the front end, we offer some professional development where we ask you to come to our flex workshops that are held at our institution. So that is at Bakersfield College, and we have those prior to the start of the term. So that will also include in the spring term, and that typically is the third week of January. So we have an orientation where we just walk you through a little bit more of the roles and responsibilities of you as fellows, but we also try and get you partnered with your faculty mentor, so you start establishing that relationship early on. In that period, you are able to have a team building opportunity with not only the your cohort members, but also with people at the institution, because we attend like things like the opening days together. I give you a prescripted list of potential trainings you may want to attend, professional development sessions that focus on things like the tenure process, things like how to successfully use our case management systems like Starfish or Banner, things that are necessary and you are expected to know when you enter those teaching positions that you may not be privy to, once you finish your graduate degree. And so really the hands-on. So it's building the community in that launch pad. And what I should say is, prior to while we're doing the onboarding process for our fellows, we try and match you with someone in your discipline who is tenured or tenure track. So someone who knows what it's like to go through the process of applying for a position and have successfully been offered the position of a full-time faculty. We again have some great folks that have served as mentors, but we've also opened it up so that there's people who are maybe professors at CSUB that can provide that partnership if there's a gap. We again invite you to take part in that. And then in the fall, which for many of you will be the spring, in that partnership, you're asked to shadow your faculty mentor, and you are able to do some classroom shadowing, some shadow grading, to be a guest lecturer, and you meet with them on a weekly basis. I provide some weekly guides for you guys to have conversations around what it takes to be a successful faculty in a community college. So it's cultivating, again, that mentorship relationship. And then lastly, in the last term, so for many of you, again, that would be the fall term, if you are able to meet the minimum qualifications, we ask you to teach your own class as the instructor of record so that you can have that teaching experience that you need to apply for teaching positions. And then you still continue that mentorship relationship with your mentor. So you're not just out there doing a teaching for the first time, but you continue to have that mentorship.
My question is in regard to the slide that we're on right now. So for this cohort, would essentially the fall semester and the spring semester be swapped? So yeah, okay. That was my question. Thank you.
And so that is in the spring. The fall for you, you will be essentially teaching at least one course and have the opportunity to work with students, and you'll go through the evaluation process. You'll get your student eval. So you'll get a taste of what it's like to be evaluated, to teach a class, and to get feedback from students. And we won't just, throw you out and say sink or swim, but we'll give you the support to be successful. Again, part of that takes place in the spring semester for you, because we are inviting you to attend department meetings to get to know the people that are currently teaching those classes, whether they're full-time or part-time. And we ask you to attend some campus-wide committees and get involved. So it really becomes, you have ownership of your own journey in the program. We provide you the tools to be engaged, but I can tell you the folks that have been successful in securing full-time positions as a result of the program have been those that are actively engaged. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to go over to the next slide here and talk about compensation. So for our CSUB fellows, we have 4 spots that we secure. For those of you that are still in the graduate program, if you are selected for this spot, we pay up to $3,000 stipend per year for your tuition. So we contribute towards your tuition. And then on top of that, you get an hourly compensation of $3,300. And that is a $30 per hour rate. So we compensate you at $30 per hour for the fall and spring. And in addition, and that's above and beyond in the spring if you are assigned to teach a class, and you obviously get the instructor pay for that class as well. So you could expect to get, if you're selected for that one of those 4 spots, to be receiving roughly $9,000 in that year, and 3,000 of those would go directly to the CSUB institution to pay for some of your tuition. Now, there's a spot for, and you see my numbers are not going to match here where it says 14 and 26, because our other partnership and the rest of the table you're not seeing is for UC Merced. So there's also room for 14 fellows. If you don't get into this group of 4 here, you can still apply, and maybe we don't give you your tuition stipend, but you still are able to get the compensation for being part of the program. We are able to pay for your hours that you contribute in the classroom shadowing. And again, this is above and beyond the teaching load for the continued mentorship and meeting the requirements of the program. This is the total compensation for the academic year, and it does not include the instructional load, because not all of you will qualify if you haven't met the min quals to teach that load. So this is what we can pay without guaranteeing the instructional end, if that makes sense.
You're speaking about qualifying for the instruction load. What are the qualifications for that?
Great questions. Min quals, as dictated by the Chancellor's Office in Title V, require that you have a graduate degree in the discipline you want to teach. You would have to have earned your graduate degree. However, if you are part of this program, as long as you've completed at least 50% of the program, so if you've completed at least the first year or 50% of the program, as long as you're in the program and you have a faculty mentor, we can assign you to be the instructor of record, even if you're working through the program in your graduate program. So as long as we prove that, we can onboard you and give you instructional load. It just depends. It's a case by case, but if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out and we can establish a game plan for you. And this is a testimonial. I'm not going to read it because it's really lengthy, but this lays out the foundation feedback from someone who participated in the program. It has some information here about what her mentorship relationship was like, and then what her experience was like in developing her toolkit. And I do apologize. I neglected to tell you an important piece of the program. In the first term of the program, so that's the spring, you are required to take a course. It is a non-credit course, so it doesn't have an out-of-pocket cost, or it won't affect your GPA. It's a pass, no pass. But that course is entitled Teaching at a California Community College. It's Education B15NC. You are compensated for up to 2 hours a week for 16 weeks for the time you spend working on the content of the course. It is an asynchronous course, and you have access to all modules at the start of the term. So it's a self-paced course, and we have a lot of content in the course. So we look at the history of the community college, the funding formulas, how the trends have shifted in our system. And then there's a lot of curricular work to develop a sample syllabi, to look at how to make your courses accessible, how to remove barriers through zero cost textbooks. So a lot of the skills that you learn as you move through teaching, we front loaded. So we give you access to a lot of that information on the front end, so that when you go into teaching that first term, you feel more prepared in navigating some of those challenges you may face through that first term, or the first few years rather. We really focus on helping you navigate those things that you may not know until you're in the classroom, and we give you the support you need so that you are able to ask the questions and not feel intimidated by the process, which we find a lot with our first year faculty. I should also mention we're going to have a colloquium in the spring term for those of you that are part of the program, where we have our campus community. So that includes some of our administrators, some of our faculty mentors share their insight with you, talk about how to make your course a course that is culturally inclusive, how to enhance your pedagogy so that you are providing equity-driven curricular practices. We also talk about how to navigate the interview process, how to apply, how to interview for a tenure track position. We talk about things like the teaching demonstration, how to prepare a letter of interest, your teaching philosophy, all of those things that you're expected to know, we walk you through. In the application process, when you're ready to apply, and please excuse this date, I need to update this. What you need to apply for the position is our online application, which includes demographic information, like things of where you attended for your education. So that includes graduate or your bachelor's, employment history. And then on top of that, we ask you to submit a current resume, a letter of interest. Some people know that as a cover letter, a statement of personal philosophy of teaching, transcripts, a sample syllabi, and 5 professional references. These are some of the things that are necessary. For some folks, you may already be familiar with what the application process look like. Because we're doing it in the middle of the term, it is a short turnaround window. If you are able to have all of your materials and submissions by December 10th, then I am able to better match you with a mentor and get you cleared in time, because our clearance process is quite lengthy. You have to do a background check, and there's so many steps to go through because we are a public institution, and we use taxpayer money. So you have to be fully vetted.
So this application needs to be done as soon as possible to be a part of the fellowship program?
If you are hoping to be part of our spring cohort, yes.
Okay, thank you. And I can use my current syllabus for the sample syllabi, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have a syllabus already, do not recreate it, submit what you have. Many of our program participants have been able to successfully secure a tenure track position either at BC or CSUB. We have in cohort 2, we have 2 who were offered a tenure track position at BC in bio. 1 was offered a tenure track position at CSUB, and we had a small cohort. So we had a good number of people who were actually able to secure that position. From cohort 4 or 3, we have more people who have moved on, and I'm going to create a visual that I can share with all of you so you can see the success rates. But I can tell you that we pulled some data, and from all 4 cohorts, at least 90% were able to secure a adjunct or full-time position within 6 months of completing the program. So we have a good success rate. Many of our fellows are either teaching with us or again have gone. Others have gotten some very competitive offers in industry, so we've lost them to industry, but they're still successful nonetheless. And we have someone who's in this cohort in the history department who was assigned classes to teach right at the first term. So they've been working with their mentor, and they will continue to teach for us in the coming terms because they've made such a great impression on their department. And he gave me permission to share this. He worked in the or continues to work in the Graduate Resource Center. So he was one of our first folks that we said, okay, yes, we want to offer you this position. And he's just, again, made a great impression. I also got word today that one of our other folks who came from CSUB got offered a full-time position to work in the advising center at one of our sister colleges. And so we see a lot of success with our folks. Even if they don't go into teaching, they're still working either with industry or with our community college students. So I love to brag on them for that. This is the program for you because you don't have to have teaching experience. So we want you to have limited or no teaching experience to be part of the program. If you choose to apply, we will help you with the development of your sample syllabi. We will make sure you have the resources you need to be able to apply for the program.
Yes, my question was regarding to the tuition stipend. The tuition stipend will only be offered in the spring semester or the spring and the fall semester?
So that's up to you. That's a really good question. So we can pay for up to 3,000. So if you want to split it to be 1,500 each term, we can do that, or we can pay it in one term. And I will mention briefly in the first term, so that's going to be the spring for many of you, you will be contributing about 4 hours per week. That's what we compensate you for. 2 hours will go to meeting with your faculty mentor, so whether that's doing classroom shadowing or having your weekly meetings, and 2 hours for completing that asynchronous course. So you can expect those 4 hours in the spring term. In the fall, you will be teaching your own load, and it's typically one class, and it depends on the department, but most classes that are in person meet twice a week for an hour and a half. You will have the flexibility to identify your best times, and you have the ability to say, yes, I want to teach this, or no, I don't want to teach this, but that won't be until the fall term. And remember, this is a small cohort we're taking on in the spring. We are going to open it again in the fall. So if you feel like this is great, but I'm not there yet, it's okay. We're going to have another cohort in the fall.
So for the 4 positions that can receive the tuition stipend, if we are no longer attending a graduate program, like we've already graduated, like I will be in the fall, if I waited to the fall, I wouldn't qualify for that anymore, right?
So you're going to be done
This spring.
this spring. Yeah, it won't be retroactive.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I do have loans technically,
Yeah.
so I could
Yeah.
but if it has to go through financial aid, that makes sense that it couldn't go unless I'm actually currently enrolled. So that
Correct.
makes sense. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Is the application already listed online on
Yes,
the KCCD site?
It's
Okay.
open.
Okay.
Yep.
Right now, I teach evening classes just because I do have a full-time job. And I was wondering if that's an option that Bakersfield
Absolutely.
College. Okay.
Absolutely. A good number of our adjunct faculty prefer to teach in the evenings because they have full-time jobs. So we have that historically, or sometimes we offer our adjuncts some online classes. So it just depends on your background and your experience working with online versus in person.
Yes, in the slide where you talked about the requirements, it does say copy of legible transcripts. Are you referring to official transcripts, unofficial transcripts?
Unofficial.
Okay. And so I have my bachelor's, my master's, and I'm currently in the doctoral program. Which ones exactly do you need?
We only require up to a graduate degree in the discipline.
Okay.
So the graduate ones are fine, but if you want to send us the one from the in progress ones, the ones that you're doing, or the one you're working towards, you can send that over as well. Well, if you don't have any questions or can't think of any, but later decide, that you're working through your application, that you do have a question, please email me. I'm happy to meet with you. This is my passion. This is what drives me. So I'm happy to meet with you at a different time and help you with the application process. I do have 2 little ones. So if one of them is sick or, requires my attention, I don't always have access to my email, but I try to get back within 24 hours. Okay, well, thank you all so much for attending today. And I am so glad that you are interested in the program. And if there's anything I can do to support you as you apply, please, please, please let me know.